Okay, so last night I asked you to read The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe for plot, and today we are going to read this together, and I'm going to share my thinking with you. Today we're looking to analyze text words and phrases for meaning. And so I'm going to start with the title actually because something stands out to me. This adjective, telltale. So this stands out to me because this is telling me something about what kind of heart it is. So telltale is means revealing. So something about the heart is revealing in this story. So we're going to read on to see if we can figure out what that is. All right, beginning. True. And I see all capital letters here. So this is telling me that this is an emotional response. And so he's saying true, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. So dreadfully points back to how nervous he was. It kind of tells us a little bit more information about how nervous he is. But why will you say that I am mad? Now, when I see the word mad, I think of a couple meanings. The most common meaning of mad is angry or upset. But another meaning of mad is like what maybe somebody might say crazy or mentally ill. So I'm going to keep reading and see if I can figure out what meaning of mad he's talking about. Next sentence he says, the disease, oops, look at that. I already know what he's talking about with this. So I can tell right away that he's talking about the mentally ill mad. The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. So I see some contrasting language here. It looks like he's saying sharpened, which is clear. And dulled, which they are opposing. So dulled means to kind of, in this sense, when he's talking about his senses, because his senses were sharpened and his senses were dulled, so it's referring back to senses, and dulled is referring back to senses. He's kind of talking about the differences between those, and dulled means to decrease. Okay, so his disease, instead of the disease making things worse, which is what diseases usually do, his senses were sharpened and they were not dulled. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. So here we go, we're still talking about his senses. And in this case, whoops, this was number 7. This is acute also means clear. So it's like he's got 2 synonyms here talking about his senses. And that also refers right back to senses. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell. Now, these are examples. So he's talking about an example of what he heard because he has such great hearing and senses. He heard things in heaven and earth, and he heard things in hell. And this is also an example. How then am I mad? So after reading this, it's making me think that he's really trying to, it's like a persuasive tone. He's trying to let us know he's supporting. He's not mad. He's saying that his senses are sharpened. They're not dull. His hearing's acute. So it's really, this first paragraph is really taking on a very persuasive tone. Hearken, he says, which we know means, or you may not know, it's kind of an older term, so they call that archaic language. Hearken means listen. And it's not just listen to me, it's listen with an exclamation point. He's saying it sharply. And observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. So what I would like you to do right now is I'm going to pause and I'm going to have you turn to your table partners, and if you could discuss this question. How does the narrator feel about himself? All right, so turn to your table partners and discuss that, and we will talk to you shortly about what you think.